In the year 2000, two men flew to Dallas, Texas with a desperate offer. Their tiny company was bleeding money, and they wanted to sell it to Blockbuster for $50 million. As one of them later told it, the room could barely keep from laughing. Blockbuster said no. That tiny company was Netflix. Today, it is worth more than $300 billion. It's the most famous business blunder of all time, the dumb giant who laughed off the future. But that story is a lie. Or at least, it's the comfortable half of the truth. Because Netflix didn't kill Blockbuster. Blockbuster killed itself. Slowly, deliberately, over years. For the sake of a habit it could not quit. And that habit was punishing you. This is the story of an empire of 9,000 stores that got rich by finding the very people who loved it. And how, when one man finally tried to get it clean, the company chose the addiction, destroyed him, and followed the habit all the way into the grave. This is the file on Blockbuster. It began, of all places, in the Texas oil business. In 1985, a software entrepreneur named David Cook was watching the oil market collapse and taking his database company down with it. His wife suggested a wildly different idea, video rental. But Cook didn't think like a movie man. He thought like a data man. Where the corner video store hid a few hundred tapes behind the counter, Cook opened his first Blockbuster in Dallas with 8,000 of them. Out in the open, on bright-lit shelves, every checkout scanned and tracked by computer, in an age when almost no one did that. It was less a video store than a machine for knowing exactly what America wanted to watch. Then the money arrived. Wayne Huizenga, the billionaire who had built the garbage empire Waste Management, bought in when there were just 19 stores. He ran the McDonald's playbook at industrial speed. At the height of the expansion, Blockbuster was opening a new store roughly every 24 hours. By 2004, there were 9,094 Blockbuster stores across the world, 65 million member accounts, 84,000 employees, $6 billion a year. For a generation, Friday night meant one thing: the walk through those blue and yellow doors, the wall of new releases, the ritual of choosing. Blockbuster wasn't a company, it was a habit. But underneath the ritual was a darker machine, because Blockbuster's most profitable product was never the movie. It was your failure to bring it back on time. In the year 2000, Blockbuster collected roughly $800 million in late fees, around 16% of its entire revenue. $1 a day per tape, quietly stacking up until a $2 rental cost you $10. The company had discovered something intoxicating. It made a fortune not when you enjoyed its product, but when you slipped up. Its best customer was a guilty one. Think about what that does to a company over 20 years. Every quarter, the numbers whispered the same lesson: punishment pays. The late fee wasn't a side effect of the business, it had become the business. And a company that profitable from punishing its own customers has no reason on earth to change until one day someone forces it to. That someone started small. A man who, as the legend goes, was once charged a $40 late fee for a single movie and walked away wondering what a video store would look like if it never punished you at all. No late fees, no due dates, just a red envelope in the mail. He called it Netflix. Blockbuster's most profitable habit had just given birth to its executioner. And so, in 2000, Netflix came to Dallas with its $50 million offer. And Blockbuster, drunk on $800 million a year in late fees, could not see why it would ever need a company built on erasing them. They passed. But here is what everyone forgets about that story. Blockbuster wasn't too blind to catch up. In a few years, it very nearly won. His name was John Antioco, Blockbuster's chief executive, and a genuine turnaround artist. And unlike the cartoon version of this story, he saw exactly what was coming. He looked at the late fee, the $800 million golden goose, and he decided to do the unthinkable. He decided to kill it. At the end of 2004, Antioco announced that Blockbuster would abolish late fees entirely, a self-inflicted blow of around $400 million to his own company's income. And he poured hundreds of millions more into a new idea called total access. Rent online, then return it to any store for a free movie on the spot. It was the one thing Netflix, with no stores, could never copy. And it worked. Blockbuster's online service exploded past 2 million subscribers. It was taking customers directly from Netflix, so effectively that, years later, Netflix's own leaders admitted how frightened they had been. For one brief moment, the dinosaur was faster than the mammal. Blockbuster had the cure in its hands. All it had to do was hold on. It didn't. Because killing the late fee and spending a fortune to reinvent the company made Wall Street furious, and Wall Street had a weapon, an activist investor named Carl Icahn. Icahn had quietly bought around 10 million shares. In 2005, he launched a proxy fight and won himself 3 seats on Blockbuster's board. From the inside, Icahn went to war on Antiocho's strategy, the online spending, the vanished late fees, and the CEO's pay. The boardroom that should have been defending the company's future turned into a battlefield over its present, and the fight got personal. In the end, it broke over a dispute about a bonus. In 2007, John Antiocho walked away. The man who had correctly diagnosed the disease and written the prescription pushed out before he could finish the treatment. He took his settlement and left, and the board handed the company to a successor with a very different idea. His name was Jim Keyes, and almost immediately, he did the thing the numbers had always whispered. He brought back the late fees. He slashed the spending on total access and the digital future. He reached, one more time, for the needle. Blockbuster, given every chance to get clean, chose the addiction. But the drug couldn't save it now. Blockbuster was already crushed under nearly $1 billion of debt, a parting gift from Viacom, which had spun the company off in 2004 after draining its cash. There was no money left to fight a war on 3 fronts: Netflix streaming, Redbox's $1 kiosks, and then, in 2008, a global financial crash that froze its credit entirely. On the 23rd of September 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. The empire of 9,000 stores was insolvent. A year later, its remains were auctioned to Dish Network for around $320 million. Among the bidders who lost that auction was Carl Icahn himself, the man who had helped break it back to pick over the bones. Icahn would later admit it was one of the worst investments he ever made. In the end, everyone lost. The reformer, the raider, the empire, all of it gone. Almost. Because in a single strip mall in Bend, Oregon, one Blockbuster is still open tonight. The last one on Earth. Its shelves still lined with plastic cases, its signs still glowing blue and yellow in the dark. A small, stubborn ghost that has outlived the entire empire it belonged to. That's the file on Blockbuster. It was not killed by the future. It was killed by a habit, an $800 million habit of profiting from people's mistakes. It had the cure, and it fired the man who found it. In the end, the murder weapon wasn't a red envelope or a streaming app or a kiosk. It was a receipt, a late fee, the small daily punishment of the very people who loved it most. Every empire believes its most profitable habit is its greatest strength. Blockbuster's was its addiction. And the thing that made it rich was the very same thing that, quietly, for years, had been teaching it how to die. This was file number 05. Every empire leaves a file, and the ones that fall the hardest are usually the ones that were winning. If you want to see which empire we open next, subscribe, because every empire leaves a file.